Hello and welcome to Energy Sphere Season 1. Energy Sphere is a brand new platform where energy professionals from Pakistan and around the world will be featured to discuss experiences, perspectives, and ideas. My name is Iraj Tariq.
And I'm Sarah Kazmi.
And I'm Asjadullah Qureshi. And we are your hosts. This season, through interviews and discussions amongst regulators, policymakers, industry leaders, and energy experts, the Energy Sphere podcast will explore development in key sectors of oil and gas, power, minerals, and energy intervention and emerging technologies. The show aims to help improve understanding of Pakistan's evolving energy landscape and the conditions that support economic engagement.
We would also like to thank the Pakistan-U.S. Alumni Network for supporting Season 1 of the podcast.
The views expressed in this podcast are personal and do not represent the views of any institution or organization.
So stay with us and follow the podcast. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 1 of the Energy Sphere podcast. I'm Sarah Kazmi, an energy lawyer based in Islamabad, and I'm joined by my two co-hosts, Iraj Tariq and Asjadullah Qureshi.
Hello, I'm Asjadullah Qureshi, and I am an energy professional working in the regulatory sphere in Pakistan. I am particularly interested in integrated energy planning, and that's the area I look forward to explore.
Hi everyone, I'm Iraj Tariq, an environmental and sustainability professional with over 8 years of experience in Pakistan's upstream oil and gas sector, and I'm excited to be part of Energy Sphere and the conversation we will be having about the future of energy.
So, guys, we're finally here. We're recording the first episode. So, I thought before we properly get into anything else, I think people might actually be wondering, how do the three of us know each other? So, Azad, maybe you want to start with
Yes, sure.
how you got to know us.
I still remember in my North Dakota, we were sitting in this that university and the IVLP, which I'll be just talking a bit about later. We were sitting in that library and we were discussing that what would be an outcome of this International Visitors Leadership Program, which is the State Department's premier exchange program. And look, we are recording the first episode of the podcast already. So I think we have made some progress. And coming back to the IVLP, how I met you guys. So 8 professionals were selected from Pakistan from the energy ecosystem, upstream, downstream, and power sector. For the integrated energy plan, that was the theme of the this exchange program, which is a State Department's premier exchange program, and that's how we met each other. Now, before we go further, I think might actually help the listeners to understand a bit about how we ended up in the same program and how this idea was started forming.
Yeah, so I think for me, I know that I was actually nominated for IVLP based on my work in the upstream oil and gas sector. That's basically where I started my energy law practice, and it made sense because majority of your E&P companies, their head offices are in Islamabad, except for a couple that are in Karachi. Your service companies that cater to these E&P companies are also in Islamabad. Your regulator is here. So it was sort of a natural way for me to get into the energy sector through oil and gas. But by the time I actually went on the IVLP, my work started to expand into the power sector. So by that time, I had been working for almost a year with Islamabad Electric Supply Company in their regulatory affairs department. So for me, the power sector part of the program was also very much relevant. And then also because at that time, I was also doing a project that involved doing like an institutional gap analysis of various government departments like environmental protection agencies. So I found that portion of the trip useful because we visited energy protection agencies over there as well. So it allowed me to have like a good comparison. And I think except for maybe one company or one visit, and I'm not gonna take the name. I'll let you to guess. I think apart from just that one visit, everywhere else that we went, I found myself learning from them, and I think overall professionally it was quite beneficial for me. And you're talking about Minot University and Iraj. I actually was going through our pictures. I have a picture of you writing the names on the whiteboard of when we were brainstorming
Yeah.
names for the show. So that actually brought back memories. So Iraj, what about you? How did you kind of end up with in the program?
So my journey actually started from the environmental side. After like completing my studies in environmental sciences, I had the opportunity to work with Pakistan's Minister of Climate Change, where I exposed to environmental policy, climate related issues, and the broader like environmental and sustainability challenges facing the country. So that experience actually gave me a strong foundation, but it also made me curious about how environmental considerations are managed within the industries that play such an important role in economic development. So, like, that's what actually led me into the upstream oil and gas sector. So I worked for last 8 years in upstream oil and gas industry, focusing on environmental management, then the like stakeholder engagement and sustainability reporting. So through these roles, I have had the chance to work on a wide range of projects, and that's how like one fine day I received an email that there is an IVLP program, which is like focused on the integration of energy from like from power sectors to the oil and gas sectors. So I really like, I was so excited about that thing, and that's how I landed into the IVLP.
So, what would you say is the most memorable part of the trip? Like, we obviously visited various, like, where did we go? We started with DC, we went to Pennsylvania, we went to North Dakota, and then we ended with Oklahoma. So,
One of the most memorable part of our IVLP journey was our visit to North Dakota, particularly Bismarck and Minot. As like when we went to the Bismarck, someone from the oil and gas sector, like if they get to know that information, so like I think anyone can be fascinated by how technology, they showed us that how technology and data were being used to support energy operations. Information about drilling activity, rig counts, well performance, and production was literally available almost like on a single click. So it really like showed me that how innovation and access to data can help drive in efficiency and like investment in the energy sector. So and then when we like moved to the move back and went to the University of North Dakota in Minot, and the discussions like that made us all think about the opportunities that exist for like our countries, and then we should have a platform where we can like share the ideas and get the information about the, or get the insights of the energy sector. So yeah, that was my favorite part, and the way we made it happen, this energy sphere. So yeah, that was my favorite part.
yeah, yeah. For me, I think, and maybe you guys will agree, I think North Dakota turned out to be quite interesting. I mean, one, that's sort of where the idea for this show came about. And also, we got famous for about 5 minutes at the local news. We were referred to as the energy crew from Pakistan. So I think that still stays with me. Maybe we can like plug in the link for the for the YouTube for that news story that ran in the description. But I thought that was interesting. But yeah, we came back, then we put out a trailer for the podcast, I think around September, October, and then since then it's just been a process of building the idea and just figuring out what kind of conversation we actually want to have. So I thought to start things off, it would be good for each of us to maybe share what areas of the energy sector they're most interested in, and what we kind of hope to explore through the podcast. So maybe Azad, I'll let you kick things off and set things up for everyone.
Yeah, just a few memorable moments from myself. I think Pittsburgh was the peak of everything. DC was very hot, and DC was like professionally it was good. The kind of people we met over there, but Pittsburgh was wonderful. Carnegie Mellon University was the peak of it because the data centers is a big thing right now, and it's driving the energy demand upwards, which was quite stable for the previous decade or couple of decades. And now there is a new kind of load that nobody has foreseen, and the entire world seems to be ill prepared for such a thing. So I have had discussions not only in the States, but afterwards when I came back, I discussed a few programs with a few of the counterparts that we met in the US and further contacts that what are they doing with the data centers, as that is one of the biggest problems that is facing the policymakers, the technical companies, and most of the major tech companies are becoming power companies because they're acquiring power plants at an alarming rate and an unprecedented rate, actually. So that is one area where I would really be interested to engage some policymakers, regulators, that how big a problem is that, and how are they solving that program. Another focus area was community solar and subsidized solar, because in Pakistan we have had a solar rush, which is a model that has been quoted in international journals, magazines, newspapers. So that is something that Pakistan can display. And if you guys remember, at the city council of Pittsburgh, those guys were really impressed by the way Pakistan was
Yeah.
doing things. And that was the point of connection I had. And later on, that connection expanded into other contacts in Pennsylvania. And I'm still in contact with a few of those. Those guys are telling us that the real problems they are facing in terms of community solar. So Pakistan has a solution to offer. Pakistan has some insight to offer. I would say not a solution actually, but for the lower and middle income group people in the US, because most of their cities have like LMIs over there. So I think there is a good area of engagement. For the oil and gas and critical minerals, I think it is something which is a very stated and top of the line high priority area for the US. And Pakistan has also positioned itself as an expert in critical minerals and as an area which can be explored right now. And there are areas of collaboration. EVs is another area where I think there could be good discussion with the US counterparts and their companies in Pakistan, because there are some innovative things going on in Pakistan as latest EVs hit the market in Pakistan. So I think there is an area for technology and services. Both sides are opened up for investment. And the last one, I think, last but not the least, is transmission side. So I belong to the power sector. So I think the transmission side has been an underinvested area, and it has been not in focus, uh, a lot of focus previously. And most of the people have been focusing on generation side. But I think because of this higher solar inrush and the EVs coming on, so we have a very cyclic grid now, which is very unpredictable. And that opens up an opportunity for utility scale BESS, new technologies of batteries, and other such transmission side areas, which can then further be linked to the demand side management areas. So those are the few major
Mm.
areas I see a lot of collaboration in, and energy innovation discussions. Then planning is a major issue of integrated energy planning. We saw in the US there are a lot of different areas and levels that people are working on. So how they are coordinating can be a lesson for Pakistan and vice versa, because Pakistan has recently shifted its focus to integrated energy planning. That is from the upstream to the end consumer. How can we have a better plan for the next 10 years? And the US investors can take a look at that what area they might be able to provide some value and service and enter into any B2B engagements in Pakistan. So that would be what I think are the main areas of collaboration where we can further this podcast and have experts from the energy sector value chain, both in Pakistan and the US, and make it a very interesting and valuable, practically learning podcast for all the viewers.
Yeah, I totally agree. And just maybe for the listeners, and I should know this as well, how long have you been in the power sector?
I've been in the power sector for almost a decade now,
Okay.
and I have worked with the aviation sector in the past, the transport sector, and now the power sector. I've been almost a decade. I've been in the power sector now.
Okay, perfect. It is, what about you? What's your area of interest, particularly with the show? What are you hoping to explore more?
So, I'm actually particularly interested in exploring topics such as like sustainability, energy transition, climate change, and then the emerging technologies and the way they are integrating into their core business. And also, of course, like for Pakistan, offshore exploration, and like how other countries and how countries like Pakistan can balance energy development with environmental and social priorities. And like beyond the technical discussions, I'm also interested in hearing the personal stories behind the sector. Like the way we are sitting here, we three belong from the energy and power sectors, but normally what we do, we are only talking about the numbers and the like technical sides, the potential, but hearing from the experts about their stories, that about their experiences, lessons, and the ideas like that, that normally don't make it to into the reports or headlines, like we don't know that how their lives and the sacrifices they gave to the sector. So yeah, I really wanted to explore that side as well, while we will be inviting the different experts from the energy sector. So it can be like engineers, geophysicists, and like, yeah.
I totally agree with what you said about learning more about the personal experiences and the overall journey. So for our first feature conversation on the energy sphere, I actually had the opportunity to speak with Mr. Shahjahan Mirza. He's the former managing director of Private Power Infrastructure Board. So I think it was a trip down memory lane for him, and there were certain things about him that I didn't know. So I think what you're saying, that those sorts of conversations, we're hoping that they also make it to the show, where the listeners obviously get to learn about the energy landscape of Pakistan, but also a little bit about the speaker who's coming on. So we'll explore more of the conversation with Mr. Shahjahan Mirza in the next episode. But for now, here is a short clip from it. Subscribe to the Energy Sphere so you don't miss the full interview.
Yes, I think that U.S. energy cooperation has been very, very positive. If I tell you about myself, I was part of this energy cooperation in early '91. When I joined USAID for when this first strategic plan for a private sector privatization was being made. This was called, I think, the strategic plan for privatization of power sector in Pakistan, which was released and finalized in 1992. So the main ownership in this was the two organizations, the World Bank and the USAID. So I was working with the consultants of USAID. So since then, I know that USAID and USA has been cooperating in terms of development of energy sector in Pakistan. And this is, I think, the process of reforms and restructuring and privatization of the power sector, which where USAID started in '91. They must be doing before that, but since I was part of that, so I'm mentioning that. And even after that, US through USAID, through State Energy Department, there have been many initiatives which have been taken together. I think if I recollect probably recent one. Probably the 2000, starting from 2000, maybe 8-10 years. That was the energy security, energy reforms, how to induct the clean energy into the grid. So that was the area on which this institutions were cooperating and focusing mainly through USAID and its consultant. And then I think the next phase goes where USAID and the US State Department was pushing that facilitation of the private sector investment into the Pakistan, that how the private sector from the two countries can cooperate into that. And then this Pakistan Green Energy Alliance Agreement, I think it was done in 2025. Last year. So this has been continuous support in this area. They have worked, they have supported in terms of grid management studies. They have supported in the energy efficiency, many initiatives in terms of energy efficiency to NECA, which is National Energy Efficiency Conservation Authority. So that is the area where they're working. The grid system improvement. The recent study which they were doing, that was the battery energy storage. I am not sure it was completed or not, but USAID was actually supporting the battery energy storage in the grid study. So there has been consistent cooperation and support from the US government in terms of making the improvement.
Thank you for listening to Energy Sphere. Please subscribe to the show on your preferred podcast platform and stay tuned for upcoming episodes. If you would like to reach out, collaborate, or share feedback, our contact details are in the episode description. We look forward to bringing you the next conversation on Energy Sphere.